Hello and welcome to today's class. We're going to be starting with a roll down, so feet are going to be hip width and parallel. Hands are just going to be down by our side, shoulders nice and relaxed, head is also nice and relaxed. Breathing in through the nose and on the breath out through the mouth, bringing the chin to the chest, rolling your shoulders forward. Really trying to create space in between the shoulder blades as you come all the way down to the floor, one vertebra at a time. Really feel the opening in the lower back here, so trying to create as much space as possible and just feeling really heavy through the arms, through the head. We're going to take a nice breath in. On the breath out, I want you to really push into your feet to come all the way up, and the reason we're doing this is because that's going to help to really activate into our inner thighs and also into our glutes as we restack our spine, trying to tuck under, rolling the shoulders back and down at the top, and head comes up last, of course. We're going to do it again. Breathing in, on the breath out, chin to chest first of all, rolling the shoulders, slowly coming down. So the fingertips are just leading you. The head is super heavy like a bowling ball. If you can touch the floor, that's fantastic. If you can't touch the floor, that's also fine, no worries. We're just trying to get a nice stretch down the backs of the legs here. Like I said before, really opening up through the lower back, letting the head just hang heavy. If you're doing this early in the morning, you may, like me, feel a little bit of neural tightness around this area. That's very normal. It's just the body just waking up. So if you are doing this early in the morning, don't panic. Don't try and push the stretch too much. Let's breathe in on the breath out, tucking under, again pushing into the feet, drawing the belly button to the spine, and slowly restacking. Coming up to the top and going for just a few more shoulder rolls here. Okay, we're going to go into some balance. So I'm going to stand exactly in the same place. I've set myself up very nicely with my neutral spine position. I'm going to just relax my chest here. I'm going to think about drawing that belly button into my spine to engage through my abdominal muscles. Okay, breathing in. On the breath out, I'm going to rise up onto the toes. Hands are coming up in front of me. Just shoulder height is perfect. And I'm going to breathe in as I return back down. And again, breathing out as we come up, rising up onto the toes. Think about that weight going through the big toes and then breathing in as you lower. Carrying on just like that. I'm just going to turn to face you so you can see it front on. Parallel feet, drawing the abs in as we come up and then coming all the way down. My shoulders are relaxed. They're down away from my ears. Coming up, breathing out and breathing in as you lower. So we should feel a little bit of engagement down the backs of the legs. Breathing out to come up and breathing in to lower. We're just going to go for one more. Coming up, we're going to hold here. So holding here, glutes are on, so a little bit of a squeeze in the butt cheeks. Breathe in, on the breath out. Let's go for a little bend. So staying up nice and high on those toes. I'm just going to bend through my legs and start to descend. I'm keeping this really nice tuck going on. So I'm not leaning forward, sticking my butt out. This is not a squat. I am keeping everything just nicely underneath. I'm trying to keep the weight through the big toes. So coming down, down, down. I'm going to hold here and then I'm going to lengthen my legs all the way back up again, trying to stay on those toes if I can, trying to avoid tension around the shoulders. So let's go again. We're going to breathe out as we come down. We're going to breathe in as we hold, and then we're going to breathe out as we lengthen those legs back up again. And we're just going to do a few more just like that. Because as you may be aware, that there's going to be a progression coming very soon. Coming up, I want you to really imagine there's a pencil between those butt cheeks and you're squeezing it. Coming down. Good. And again, lengthening those legs all the way up. Good, good, good. Okay, last time, let's come down. We're going to hold here. So we're going to engage the core just a little bit more. So belly button to spine. Take a breath in. On the breath out, let's have a twist. So we're going to go for a twist over towards the side, coming as far as you can go, leaving the hips still facing the front, and then we're going to come back to center. I can already start to feel my legs working a whole lot more to try and stabilize, and my core is working. So we are trying to loosen up a little bit through your thoracic spine, the middle part of your spine, which is responsible for all your rotating. Now again, if you're doing this early in the morning, you may feel like this is a little bit stiff as you go from side to side. You may also notice that one side is better at rotating than the other, and that is very, very normal. We're going to go for just one more on the final side, Trying to keep those legs nice and still. Coming back to center, just holding here. I'm gonna lower my heels down, bit of a stretch through those legs, and then I'm gonna lift the heels back up again. Breathing in to lower, breathing out to come up. I'm still keeping that engagement through the core. I'm still trying to also keep the same position with my legs, not kind of go back all the way up here again. Well, that felt quite nice though. My legs are starting to feel a little bit of a burn. So breathing into lower, breathing out as we come up. Let's go for another 4. Oh, there's a bit of a clicking going on. You may have a bit of clicking going on through the legs. That's more than fine as long as you don't have any pain. How are those shoulders? Are they jumping up or are they still down away from the ears? Last 2. Let's go, last one. They're gonna come up, those heels, and we're gonna hold. I'm just gonna hold here, trying to relax everything except for the core, except for the legs, except for the glutes, and we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, lifting all the way back up, whew, and coming down. I'm just going to shake those legs out a bit. Fantastic. So balance section done. Brain should be engaged. I'm going to take this lovely wide position now. So my legs are turned out. And my chest is just nice and relaxed. So before we had more of a plie sort of stance where we had the tailbone tucked under, trying to keep that nice straight back as if we're up against the wall. This time we're going to be sticking the butt out a little bit more. We're going to go into a squat. So when I say butt out, what I mean is literally butt out, but more importantly, core in, core in. So when we come down, it's like we're about to sit down on a chair or on the toilet or something. So my weight is going backwards, but this belly button is coming in. So I'm not kind of letting everything sort of just like fall out here. You may be aware of this if you're a runner, that it's super important that when you're slightly leaning forward on the angle, you always want to make sure that core is engaged. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you just feel it in the back, and we don't want that. So lovely, lovely wide stance. In fact, you may find it easier to go wider, especially if you're just starting off with your squat. So please feel free to do what feels best for you. You may also find more of a turnout helps as well with the squat position. So what am I gonna do with my hands today? I think I'm gonna cross them like so. I want you to be really aware with whether or not your shoulders are jumping up towards your ears. So we don't want added tension here. So I'm gonna have my hands here. I'm going to breathe in. On the breath out, here goes my squat. So I'm just being aware that my knees are going over my toes. I'm sticking that tailbone out as I come down, 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 getting down nice and low. Belly button is engaged. I might feel a little bit of a tightness in the hips as I come down because this exercise is really also good at opening up through the hips. And then we're going to lengthen all the way back up again. And again, dropping down, sticking the butt out. Shoulders relaxed, coming down, 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 down. And slowly coming up. And we also want to make sure we're working evenly through the legs. So do you feel like you're pressing through both heels as you come back up again nice and evenly? Or do you feel like one side is doing a little bit more work? Now, the more you do push into the heels, the more you should feel the activation happen through your inner thighs, which is just fantastic, really good for supporting the knees, as well as through your glutes coming up. Let's go for just 3 more like that, coming down. Nice deep squat and coming up. Last 2. Coming down, down, down. Really trying to sit back with your weight. Last time, you probably guessed it, we're going to be hanging out down there. So coming all the way down, sitting down in a sort of chair position. So my knees are over my feet. They're not too far over the toes, which is really great placement for the knee. The knee shouldn't have any pain here. I've got the weight through the heels, so I've got this engagement in my inner thighs, which is just fantastic. So as I start doing my little pulses up and down and really push, push, push with my heels onto the floor, I can really feel the inner thighs light up. My shoulders are relaxed. All is good. All is well. Just pulsing up and down. Still thinking about the position with my bum, so sticking the butt out, but belly button to spine. Do not let your core collapse forward. I want you to keep breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. We're going to go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to hold here. Both heels, just like before when we did the balance, are going to lift up off the floor. Might be a bit shaky, shaky. And then we're going to lower them down. So breathing out as we lift up and breathing in as we lower down. And again, breathing out to lift up and breathing in to lower. Let's go for 3. Breathing out, lifting up, breathing in to lower down. Last 2. hello inner thighs. Last time holding up there, holding up, and we're just gonna hang out here just for about 10, 9, still breathing, 8, relax the shoulders, 7, relax the chest, activate here, last 4, 3, 2, last time I'm gonna lower the heels, and then I'm gonna carefully stand up. And I'm just gonna shake those legs out. Goodness gracious, okay. I'm gonna come back to that parallel position that I had right at the start while I did my roll down, because I'm gonna go for another roll down, which eventually is gonna come into a full plank position. Now, when we go to the full plank position, remember there are options. So if you know that you shouldn't be up on your wrists, please just drop down to a parallel forearm position or one where you're clasping your hands together. The key is just making sure your elbows are underneath your shoulders. If you don't feel comfortable being up in the full plank, please drop down to your knees. You just want to make sure that your hips are forward in a diagonal position. I will quickly demonstrate some of these, but that's just what you want to be thinking about yourself when you are deciding on which plank position works best for you. There is one for everyone, I promise. So, feet parallel, hands by my side, shoulders relaxed, breathing in on the breath out, chin to chest, rolling those shoulders. Here we come all the way down to the floor. Okay, so I'm going to bend through the knees. I'm going to walk out to the full plank. So I'm just finding the position where my hands are underneath my shoulders, nice and long through the body, a little bit of engagement through the shoulder blades, head is long. So like I said before, there is an option to have your knees on the floor like so. You'll notice how my hips are still forward in the diagonal, they're not back here. The other option, of course, is to come down here onto the forearms. Now, not every variation of a plank position that I go through is going to work in those other variations, and that's no problem though for you. You can just choose which variations suit. You can make up your own variations, or you can just hold the position. Holding the position is just like I am now. It is so good for you. So a little bit of a plank hold, no matter which position you're in, as long as you're doing it properly, as long as your hips are forward, if you're doing the kneeling plank position, and as long as you've still that lovely length through the body if you're just doing it on your forearms. So look after yourself, that's the most important thing. Right, head is long. Remember, if you let your head drop down like this, it's super heavy like a bowling ball, and it's putting a lot of pressure on the neck, and I can really feel it in my upper back as well. From here, I'm going to breathe in. On the breath out, I'm going to tap one foot out to the side. You can do this with a knee as well. You obviously can do this on your forearms, and I'm going to bring it back in. Other side, breathing out as I go out, breathing in as I come back in. Breathing out to go out. So I'm wakening up those obliques. I'm trying to keep the bum nice and still. If the bum starts going up towards the ceiling, it's not going to be quite as effective. It's obviously easier, which is why you do it. Good. Breathing out to go out to the side, breathing in to come back to center, breathing out and breathing in. Let's go for another 4. Keep the bum low. Last 3. Last 2. Last time, I'm just going to hold here, just a little bit of a hold. I'm just going to go for a little bit of a rock backwards and forwards. It's almost like I'm rising back up onto those toes like at the beginning, but in a plank position. How excellent. So keeping the breathing going, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth, drawing the belly button through to the spine. Excellent, excellent. Let's just go for another 5, another 4. Don't let that head drop down. Last 3, last 2, last time, and then I'm going to drop the knees, and I'm just going to come to a little bit of a child's pose. You can turn your hands up to the ceiling if you like and really just relax through those wrists. Relax the head on the floor, and just take some really nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Whew. Okay, enough of that. We're all going to come down now onto our forearms. So I either do the parallel position or I clasp my hands together. Depends how I'm feeling. It depends if sometimes I feel like I need to kind of pray in this position when I'm in the plank. If you are in the position with your hands like so, I really want you to think about pushing all the way from your elbows through to your fingertips on the floor. So it's not all just going into your elbows, that weight. And that also is very good for engaging the backs of the arms. So both positions it works for. I find if you clasp your hands together though, you automatically put a little bit more weight forward. So try and do that if you've got your hands like this as well. because we want to engage the triceps. Why would we not? Right, let's go. Enough of me mumbling along. Lengthening the legs, holding here. So we did a little bit of oblique engagement before. We're going to carry on. We're just going to tilt the hips to the side, bring them back to center. The other side, bring them back to center. I'm going to breathe out as I twist, breathe in as I come to center. Breathe out to twist, breathe into center. You can make this movement as big as small as you want. Just try and find the plank again each time you come back to that central position. Breathing out to twist, breathing into center. Breathing out to twist, breathing into center. Okay, let's go for another 4, another 3, last 2, last one. Like before, we're just going to hold, and this time we're just going to bend the knees to the floor and then lengthen. A little bit of a bend and then lengthening. Just make sure that belly button's still engaged. You're not taking it into your lower back at all. If you need to take a rest anytime, you can. You can also just hold this lovely position, that's no problem. We're going to go for 6 and 5. Good. 4, keep that head nice and long, shoulders relaxed. 3, last 2, last time, and then let's bend the knees and go back into our child's pose. Let the hands again turn up to the ceiling. And we're breathing. Right. Final thing we're going to do on our hands just for now is a little bit of a push-up set. So just like doing the plank positions, there are so many options that you can go through. I personally prefer to demonstrate down on my knees and try and get my form on point, as opposed to doing too much up in a full push-up position. That's just me personally, but I'm going to show you all the options that are available. So the way to set up, the best way to set up, in my opinion, is to come and take your hands just nice and wide with your fingers on an angle, so on a diagonal like so, towards the middle, like this. So you can take them wide. You can take them wider than your mat. In fact, the wider you go, probably easier you'll find it, because you're widening your base of support. From here, I'm actually going to come into a full plank position, and if you would like to, you're more than welcome to just hang out here and stay. Otherwise, you're going to drop the knees down to the floor. From here, you can have your legs like this, or you can cross them over, whatever works for you. This position puts a little bit more pressure on the knees. Head is long. From here, I'm going to breathe in. I'm going to lower myself down to the floor, and then I'm going to breathe out as I come all the way back up again. Here we go. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, if you want to go just for like a little movement just like so and push up, that's absolutely fine. I want you to start small, but start strong. So the belly button is in. We definitely don't have any of this going on. It hurts me just looking at people do this. While I'm talking, I hope you're carrying on doing your push-ups, by the way. Breathing into lower and breathing out to come up. Really push through the palms of the hands. Feel those arms working. Make it slow as well. We're not using any sort of momentum. Head is nice and long. Breathing into lower, breathing out to come up. Let's go for just 3 more like that. Breathing into lower, breathing out to come up. So breathing out during the hardest part of the exercise, which obviously is the push up part. Last time, we're going to come up and we're just going to hold about halfway, or maybe 3/4 of the way. I'm just going to do some little pulses here, just up and down. What a nice way to finish. Let's go for 6, 5, still breathing, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then coming again back into the child's pose. Relaxing the hands, circling through the wrists. Right, let's come into a slightly different position now. So I'm going to come into a seated position to take the pressure off my hands, and we're going to add in a little bit more core stuff. So you thought we did core stuff before, we're going to do some more core stuff. So I'm just going to have my feet parallel position on the floor. I'm sitting up nice and tall to start with, lovely lengthened spine. Hands are in front of me like so. Shoulders are relaxed. I'm going to breathe in on the breath out. I'm going to tuck my tailbone. I'm going to separate through my shoulder blades, and I'm just going to roll down until I can feel my abs really turn on. So for me, it's about here. I feel that the abs are definitely activated and working. I'm going to breathe in on the breath out. I'm going to come all the way back up to the lengthened spine. We're just going to go through this 2 more times just to warm the spine up into this position and get the abs to suddenly go, hello, this is where I'm going to work, because we're going to be hanging out there for a little bit. So let's go. We're coming down. We're hanging out here. So imagine I've got my bow and arrow. I'm going to breathe in. On the breath out, I'm going to pull back on my imaginary bow and arrow. I'm looking at my elbow, and then I'm slowly going to release. Other side. Let's breathe out as we pull backwards. Breathe in to release. Now I want you to be aware that you need to be in a C-curved spine here. So I don't want you hinging back like this or seeing any necks all the way back here. You've got that separation going on through the shoulder blades. If you need to come up a little bit higher, you can. If you want to go down a little bit lower, you also can. Please, please go for it. Breathing out to twist, breathing in to lengthen. So we should obviously be feeling some nice obliques going on here, stabilizing you. If you want to go through one step further, you can lengthen the opposite leg and then come in. And the other side, breathing out as you pull back, lengthen the leg and come in. It's funny, after being in Paris for a little while teaching in French, when I speak, I often think about what the words are and what the parts of the body are in French now. And that could be potentially quite confusing. So it's quite good to practice English. Okay, let's go for another 3. You can just keep both feet on the floor, that's no problem. 2. Okay, let's go for the last one. Holding here. So from here, breathing in, on the breath out, I'm going to come up a little bit as I open my arms, just, I was going to say a little tiny bit to the side, but that's actually quite a big bit. Hello, abs, and then breathe in as I lower down. And again, breathing out to come up, breathing in to lower. Still being aware of the shoulders, super important with those shoulders. Keep the shoulders down. Let's come up and down, good. Coming up, if you want to go for an extra challenge, knees and feet together, lifting the legs up, whoop, coming up and down. Coming up and down. So as you can see, I'm not moving very far. You probably can see more shakes than anything. Let's go for another 3. Shoulders relaxed. Last 2. And last time. And then I'm just going to come up. I'm going to open through the hips. Very common for hip flexors to start to get a little bit bitey and quads to also take over. Over time, hopefully, we're going to be taking out of the legs and hip flexors, more into the core, and also hopefully less out in the back as well. Very normal to be feeling all these things when you start. Obviously, you don't want to be pushing yourself so much that you feel it so much that it ends up hurting afterwards. So you just need to find the balance for yourself where it's like, oh, okay, I can feel these things are kicking in. So I'm going to stop and take a little bit of a breather and come back to it. Or I know that I'm going to feel like this for a little bit and it's going to change, you know, that sort of mindset. So please do take a little bit of self-responsibility when doing these exercises. Do not feel you have to go to the point of that sort of discomfort. We want the good pain, not the bad pain. Okay, I'm going to lie all the way down, but in a Pilates way, of course. So legs out nice and long in front, feet are flexed back towards me, hands in front, breathing in on the breath out, tacking under, and slowly coming down to the floor 1 vertebra at a time, trying to really keep my feet flat on the floor, trying to go as slow as possible down. Then from here, I'm just going to bring my arms back behind me. I'm actually going to let my chest just flare just a tiny bit here and go into a mini extension through the spine. Often in Pilates, we talk about not doing that. So especially when we're doing chest lifts or crunches, we talk about not going like so whenever we go back down to the floor. But just for here, let's just have this moment where we just take some nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, really trying to just expand through the rib cage out to the side and also into your back. So remember, your ribs are a cage. That means they go all the way around. They're not just these guys here. They are actually around here. They're right into your back too, and we're going to try and really expand through that whole cage shape. I still like having my hands back here. It feels really good. I kind of feel very connected with the floor, literally and figuratively grounding myself. Okay. From here, I'm just going to carefully bring the arms down by my side, and I'm going to bend my legs into a nice parallel position, like so. So we're going to go for a little bit more glute engagement. I thought we've abandoned the glutes a little bit so far today, which is unfortunate. Never abandon the glutes. So I'm actually in a neutral spine position. My natural safe posture, I guess you could say. Ideally in life we would go through in our neutral spine, but often we need to just to make a few adjustments, especially when we're doing ab work, just to look after our back. It's because lots of us, because we've picked up all these, when I say lots of us, I mean like 99.9% of the population have picked up bad habits that mean that we can't actually do everything we should do or want to do in our neutral spine. I will talk about neutral spine a bit more maybe in another video, but for the purpose of today, just be aware that your neutral spine is your natural position, either standing or lying down, kind of like I just want to lie down in bed, I'm just going to lie here, should be a neutral spine. But we often go into what's called imprint, where we push our lower back a little bit more into the floor when we're lying down to do ab work, just so that we don't end up doing this, which is extension. As you can see, there's a big gap here, and that's often where we really feel that the back ends up doing the work instead of the core. So that's some information for you for today. For our bridge, we are going to go into that sort of imprint spine for this exercise. So I want you to tilt your pelvis, and what I mean by that is you want to push your pubic bone actually up towards the ceiling and your lower back into the floor. So you'll feel your pelvis go like this. So you've tucked your tailbone under and it almost feels like it's about to lift off, which it's going to now. So I'm going to squeeze my glutes and I'm going to slowly start to peel my spine off, starting with that tailbone all the way up, pushing my hips to the ceiling. I'm going to hold at the top here, breathing in, and on the breath out, I'm very slowly going to start to melt all the way down to the floor, one vertebra at a time, releasing the tailbone at the bottom. And again, tucking under, squeezing the glutes, coming all the way up, even through those hips, and then lowering all the way down. This is a great one to do if you do need a little bit more mobility through the spine. It's just to work up and down and focus on using your glutes as well. Coming all the way up. We're going to hold this time. So I'm up here and I'm going to bring one leg up into a tabletop position. So whenever you're on one leg, it's obviously going to put a whole lot of pressure onto your supporting glute, which is the whole point. But I want you to think about the core still being engaged and trying to keep these hips as even as possible and not kind of ending up in this position. So from here, I'm just going to bend this leg in towards me, and then I'm going to lengthen it away on a diagonal. So I'm breathing in as it comes in, breathing out as I push away. This guy over here, this left glute of mine, is working really hard to keep everything stable as this leg does whatever it feels like. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. If you would like to, you can advance this by having your supporting leg up on demi point. That's a way to make it even better, and lengthening away. Coming in and out. As you can see, there's not too much movement going on through my spine. Everything is just staying in that leg. I'm going to go for another 3, another 2. Last time, I'm going to take it all the way out, and from here I'm just going to bring my leg down to the floor, still trying to keep the hips even, and then I'm going to lift the leg back up, taking it down and bringing it up, taking it down and then bringing it up. Fantastic. Really just stabilizing through this side. Let's go for 5 and 4. Breathing is also a good idea, always a good idea. Last 3, last 2. Right, last time, coming all the way up, holding up here, flexing the foot and pulsing up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to carefully come all the way down. Woo, and just have a moment for a second. I'm just going to cross the leg over, have a bit of a stretch before I do the other side. Oh, this is one of those times where I'm like, oh, now I just tell you to do the other side and I don't do it. But no, I will do the other side as well. Can't be uneven through the glutes now. Okay, so let's go. Remember, you may feel different on one side. I definitely have one glute that's a lot stronger and activates like that. And the other one's a little bit like takes a long time, and I often feel it a lot in the first leg that I did while the other one's trying to warm up. So all these things are very normal. At the end of the day, we're trying to become as even as possible throughout the whole body in general. So this is a good way to try and do it with the glutes. Again, make sure everything's nice and even. I'm tucking under, imprinting the spine, and I'm going to come all the way up, nice and high, nice and even here in my hip bones. As I look down my body, we've got 2 hips, I can see 2 knees, which is good that there are 2 knees. Okay, we're going to come up. So here I am. I am going to breathe in as I bring this knee in towards me, and then I'm going to lengthen all the way back out again. Coming in like so, and coming out. Coming in, and coming out, and this side is stabilizing. I'm gonna give it extra little bit of a squeeze, just to make sure it's not lazy. Coming in and coming out, really drawing that belly button through to the spine, relaxing through the shoulders. Good, good, good. Let's just go for another 3 like this. Another 2. And last time we're gonna go out there and we're gonna hold. Here we go for our lowers. Oh, remember there is the option to go into demi-point. Sometimes if I forget to say this, and you remember, please do it. Please do it. And you can tell me, you can send me a message to say that you did it. Okay. Good, good, good. So remember, try to keep everything just nice and still and steady through here. I don't think I'm doing quite a good job on this side as I was on the other side at that myself. Coming down and up. There are a few shakes going on here. Let's go for another 3. Last 2. Ooh, those wonderful pulses are about to come now. So I'm going to come all the way up. I'm going to flex the foot and let's pulse up to the ceiling with the heel for 10, 9, 8, 7, breathing, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then carefully coming all the way down. And let's go into that stretch for that side. Whew, just trying to open up through that hip there. Obviously get the glute. You can bring the legs in towards me as well. Whatever works best for you. Excellent, excellent. I'm just going to bring both legs in towards me and just do a little bit of a circle here in both directions. Again for the hips. Ah, nice. Okay. From here, I'm actually going to roll over onto my front to do a little bit of extension work for the back, which helps to counteract all the flexion that we do both in our exercise, because we do tend to do a lot more exercise in flexion, which is the forward position of the spine, the rounding through of the spine, like the C-curve position, the roll down, etc. whenever you do a chest lift or a crunch. And also all the flexion that we just do in our general life, which is most of the time, especially if we sit in a chair or we spend a lot of time kind of looking down at our phone, the upper back especially tends to round. So blah-de-blah, I could talk about extension and why it's important a lot, but please just be aware that extension can feel a little bit stiff and a little bit uncomfortable. So again, just remember the difference between good pain and bad pain. Please do not push yourself. Also, remember, if you are someone who shouldn't do extension, then please do not try these exercises. And you should know if you're a person who shouldn't be doing extension. I thought I should just add just now, please look after yourself, and please do not feel you have to do everything that is in this video, because this is all about making you feel good. Yes. Right, so for this, I'm going to start with my hands just a little bit forward of my shoulders. And I'm going to zip my feet together and just have my nose resting down on the floor. So I'm going to take a breath in as I push my hands into the floor, and I slowly start to come up, knitting my shoulder blades together. My head's just coming with it. And then I'm going to breathe out as I carefully let everything go back down to the floor again. So I'm breathing in, so I'm inhaling actually as I make the movement happen coming up. I'm really pushing down into the floor with my arms. Squeezing those shoulder blades, and I'm going to breathe out as I let everything go. Now, if this feels good, please feel free to lift the legs as well. So I'm going to breathe in, head is lifting, squeezing my feet together, I'm going to lift up, squeezing those shoulder blades together and coming down. So if you want to know if you're doing it right, you should be feeling it in your upper back and not your lower back. As soon as you feel it in that lower back, that generally means that you're not engaging enough here, or even just through your arms in general. And coming down. Coming up, squeezing everything, and coming down. Let's just go for just another 2 like so. coming up, and down. Now last time we're going to hold up here, so I'm squeezing my shoulder blades. I'm going to let my arms come in front like so. I'm relaxing the shoulder blades, and from here I'm just going to open the legs and then bring them back in again. I'm going to breathe out to open, breathe in to bring them in. Breathe out to open. I'm squeezing those glutes again, using the inner thighs too. Really trying to relax through the shoulders. If this position ends up getting to be a little bit too much, please just rest your hands here. You also can just rest in general. So please feel free to take breaks whenever you need to. Let's go for another 4. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Another 3. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Last 2. Now last one, I'm going to zip those legs together. I'm going to bring my hands back by my side, but my palms are going to face the ceiling, and I'm going to start doing some little pulses here, really working on squeezing those shoulder blades. I'm only feeling it in my upper back, nothing in the lower back. I can feel a little bit of work down the backs of my arms, not much, but I'm just imagining that my arms are going through something a bit denser in the air, so some sticky toffee or some thick mud. My glutes are on too, which is fantastic. And I'm just going to go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and then last one. I'm going to come down from here straight away. I am going to push myself back into a child's pose just to send the spine back into its comfortable flexion position that I like so much. And just trying to breathe and relax here. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. Good, good, good. One more deep breath in, and then on the breath out, we're going to carefully come up and just go for a little bit of a shimmy and shake through those shoulder blades. Fantastic. Okay, let us finish with a little bit of lower abdominal work. So before, when we were up in the C-curve position, we were mainly working obliques, and because we're here, we're also working your upper abs. Lower abs are a lot harder to engage, and if you're not doing it properly, unfortunately, it does mean that your back is probably what's going to be doing it. So I'm going to just demonstrate one of my go-to exercises to do for the lower abs, but please, if you're not used to doing your lower abs or you feel it in your back, please just look after yourself, okay? So I'm going to start with my legs in tabletop. Now what that may mean for most people, and I will do it myself as well, is imprint spine like I was talking about before. So pushing that lower back down to the floor, and straight away I can actually feel this whole area light up with excitement because it's engaged and working, as opposed to this happening and my back taking the load. So I'm really pushing that lower back down, and it may be that you just start here and just hang out here for a bit, and that's cool as well. For everyone else, we're going to do a little bit more than that. So I want to make sure my knees are really over my hips, because if I'm here, it feels a lot different to being here. I'm sure lots of you will know what I mean, especially if you've come to one of my classes where I've actually like pulled your knees forward, and it's just like, wow, those abs are there. Okay, so toe taps. We're going to come down to the floor like so. So the breathing is breathing into lower, breathing out to work against gravity and to pull the leg back up again. Then the other side, breathing into lower and breathing out to come up. Let's go. Breathing into lower and breathing out to come up. Breathing into lower and breathing out to come up. And I can already feel a bit of shaky shakes going on here. Now I've obviously done this exercise 1,000 times, so I am going down quite low to the floor. Just because it says toe tap does not mean you have to tap all the way down to the floor though. You can just do it just to here, and that's fine. I can still feel my abs working doing that. Now, for those of you who want to advance a bit more, knees and feet together, let's go. We're going down as far as we can without anything happening here. So I don't want to see, well, I can't see, but I don't want to hear any stories about anyone's lower backs coming off the floor. Okay, so coming down, keeping nice and still, keep this chest really relaxed, and coming back up. Another option is to bring your hands up towards the ceiling, makes it a little bit harder for the core, and then coming back up again. Here we go, taking it down, pressing the lower back into the floor, and then coming up. Good, good, good. Let's just go for another 4 like this. One more option, if you would like it, is to bring your hands behind you like so. they're just hovering off the floor. I'm trying to keep the chest super relaxed, so no flaring through the ribs. This just brings upper abs a little bit more into play as well. Last two. Good. And then last time, doing this as slow as you can, breathing out as you draw those legs back up. Okay, holding here, remember your hands can either be on the floor, here, or here. I'm going to do it leg extensions. So one leg's going to slide out and then come in. Then the other side, breathing out, breathing in. Exhale as you lengthen, inhale as you bend. And then straight away, if you would like to, you have the option to do double legs. Yes, double the fun. Now with the double leg extension, please feel free to adjust the height. The further you are up towards the ceiling, the easier it is. The lower you are to the floor, a little bit harder. So if you're down here, it's going to feel a lot different. So please look after your back. Please look after your back. Breathing out and breathing in. Remember, you can still be doing single legs. That's fine. Hands can be in any of those positions that I showed you before. So to finish with, you can either just finish. So let's go for another 4 if you're doing that. Otherwise, those of you who are up for it, lengthen out. And we're just going to do little kicks like so. Up and down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then drawing it in and just going for some decent leg circles. Now that exercise for me was quite powerful. It's quite powerful, I was moved by it. And what I mean by that is that I really felt it because my back was really, really imprinted into the mat. And my knees were hopefully over my hips the whole time. And what it does is as soon as you are in the right position, as soon as you're set up the right way, as soon as you are actually activating the right muscles, you feel these exercises so much more. I'm always worried when I hear people say, I didn't feel it after we've done some really like complicated sideline glute set. It isn't actually something I believe you should be super proud of the fact you can't feel it in your glutes. I think, and there is obviously evidence that shows that if you know how to activate your glutes, as soon as you start doing a glute exercise like a side lying clam, boom, you should feel it straight away. I mean, it's great news, isn't it? The better you get at it, the more you feel it. But it's also good like feedback from your body, and yeah. So it's important. It's important to be set up the right way and to be feeling it. Don't be too proud of the fact you're not feeling something. But if you aren't feeling something and would like to know why, please let me know. Get in touch. Please send me messages. I love messages anyway. Right, enough rabbiting from me for today, I think. Let's just finish with just a little bit of a stretch. So we're just going to sit up here just to stretch out the hip flexors because they may have been the thing that kicked in the most today, especially if you're new to doing ab stuff, coming forward. So just make sure with this hip flexor stretch that we've really got that nice tuck under here, lengthening through the front here, and a little bit of a squeeze of this glute. And we should feel, if this is relaxed and this is engaged, like I've said many times today, we should feel that really nice stretch in there. Just lengthening there. Good. Just relaxing everything if you can. I'm going to come forward now, just putting my hands on the floor. I'm going to tuck my toes. I'm going to lift up. And I'm just going to do some gentle rocking motion here, just a gentle rocking motion. Good, good, good. And then I'm going to drop that down. I'm just going to extend this front leg, so nothing crazy with the stretch. I'm just going for a bit of a hamstring stretch. I'm going to put my hand here if I can reach, doesn't matter if I can't. Getting that stretch through the front of the leg, relaxing through the shoulders if you can. And as well, if you can in this position, obviously it depends on your flexibility, try not to be too rounded through the spine. So if you actually think about pressing the shoulder blades together, you'll actually feel this stretch work a whole lot more, which you may or may not have really wanted, but. Okay, swapping over, same thing. With that nice tuck, that nice lengthening through the side. So don't feel you have to come right forward like so. Squeeze this glute. It will help to open up the front of this leg. Relaxing through the chest. Ah, how relaxing. Coming forward now, hands on the floor, tucking under and coming up. And again, a little bit of a rocking motion here. Loosening up through that hip flexor. Might even feel a little bit of glute working here. Dropping that knee down, and I'm just going to lengthen out the front here. And flex those toes. You'll probably notice one side feels a little bit tighter than the other. Very, very normal. In fact, I think you're kind of abnormal if you don't feel like one side feels a bit different. Okay, carefully coming in, finishing with my favorite way to finish, which is the good old squat. So I'm coming down here. The aim of the game is to have your heels flat on the floor, but if you can't, then that is fine for now. You may have your feet up here. One way to get the heels to the floor, obviously, is to take your feet a bit wider, a bit like the squats we did right at the start. I'm pushing a little bit into my legs. I'm just making sure that my feet are on a slight angle out. They're definitely not internally rotated, because that's just a bad position for your knees to hang out in. And as I push out on the insides of my legs, I am really trying to open and create space for that lower back. The aim of the game, I know I've said the sentence already, but I'm going to say it again. The aim of the game is to create space through that lower back, and also to just practice hanging out here. We should actually be able to sit here for a long time and hang out. We can have squat dates. Squat dates, we can all go out to dinner like this. No one's ever going to go out to dinner with me now. Okay, from here, I'm just going to bring my feet in a tiny little bit, wiggling around, and I'm going to come into the bottom of my roll down position, sticking my bum up in the air. If you can lengthen your legs, that's fantastic with the hands on the floor. Otherwise, just come as straight as you can. Relaxing the head. Hopefully not too much tightness down the back of the neck now. We've done all our movement. I'm going to breathe in. On the breath out, I am going to come all the way up to my standing position, rolling the shoulders back and down. Head is nice and loose. Everything feels like it's being moved and had a good time. And that will be us all for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to having you in my